Hello people, we are back with another edition of
The builds you don't play.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think this week's build is a particularly strong one. Secondly, I'm not actually all that experienced with this character, so I was a little reluctant to cover it. However, I've had bunch of requests for this character, and I ain't nothing if I ain't a crowd pleaser, so here it is. This is gonna be my take on the infamous Fist of the Heavens Paladin. I hope you enjoy. The main attack of this character is of course Fist of the Heavens. Given that vast majority of players have probably never cast this spell before in their lives, I think it's fair that we take a moment to examine it a little. So what is going on with Fist of Heavens? First of all, it deals lightning damage to a single monster that you have targeted. After the initial hit, you will get a bunch of holy bolts that fly out from the target towards monsters in the close proximity. The holy bolts will have a next delay of couple of frames, so a single monster will usually be hit by only one of them. After the casting animation is done, the spell will go on a 1 second cooldown. The holy bolts will be the bulk of the damage for this character, and they will only deal damage to undead monsters. That means that any farming area where the majority of the monsters are something other than undead are basically out of the question. Ancient Tunnels is the obvious choice when choosing a farming area, given that the only non-undead monster type over there are the invaders, and this character can take down anything other than a lightning enchanted unique invader with just a couple of fists. Some other areas you can be relatively successful in, I guess, are the Act 2 Tombs and to some extent Chaos Sanctuary. In CS you basically have to skip all the Venom Lords though, given they are tanky as heck and have high resistances to boot. The gear is very similar to the standard Hammered In gear setup. If you have ever played endgame Hammered In your life, you know the drill with most of this shit. The helm, the amulet and the gloves will be the most interesting part of this, so I will cover those last in some more detail. Hodo is the weapon, Enigma for the body armor, Spirit Runeword in a Paladin shield, War Traveler boots for magic find, Arachnid Mesh for the belt. I have 2 BK rings that I'm using on this character. I have an Insight on the Mercenary, so I don't really need the extra mana that I would get from Stone of Jordans. We have a CTA and another Spirit Shield on swap. For the first setup that I'm gonna showcase with the helm, amulet and the gloves, I got Shaco, Mage Fists for some FCR, and some sort of 10 FCR amulet. I got this really sweet magic find ammi right here. Something like this is basically the standard Hammered In setup, I guess. And it works pretty well for this character too. It's worth pointing out that +2 combat skills is basically just as good as +2 paladin skills on the amulet. You don't really have to worry about the skill ranks in your offensive auras on this character. Another worthwhile helm option is the Griffin's Eye. This character doesn't ultimately deal that much lightning damage, but it's still a worthwhile consideration. Getting FCR from the helmet also means that we can drop Mage Fists for chance guards. However, the biggest benefit of using Griffin's Eye, I think, is that you can go with a lower FCR roll on the amulet. Paladin builds usually specifically need that 10 FCR on the amulet, but given that we are getting 25 from the Griffins, that allows us to bypass that annoying requirement. This amulet, for example, has really sweet stats on it, but it's unfortunately not that good on most Paladin setups because it doesn't have that 10 FCR. But here we can make it work. And finally, this is the setup that I personally use. I have this really sweet 20 FCR circlet that I managed to larsuck for 2 open sockets. With this circlet I used a combination of chance guards and the 10 FCR amulet that I showed you guys earlier. Inventory is Torch, Annie, a Geats, and a whole bunch of combat skillers. Small charms all got magic find on them. The mercenary is using Fortitude, Insight in a cryptic axe, and an Andy helm with an IAS jewel in it. The fire resistance penalty from the Andy helm doesn't really matter at all in the tunnels. This is a pretty good damage oriented setup for the merc, and it'll help you a lot when taking down invaders. The stats are enough strength to wear your gear. Paladins don't usually need that much strength at all. Dexterity is high enough to get to 75% block with Holy Shield. Everything else goes into Vitality. You can see that I have all my resistances capped except for fire. I can handle the lower fire resistance. I'm basically only interested in doing ancient tunnels with this character, and fire damage is basically non-existent over there. If you really wanna do some Chaos Sanctuary runs or something with this character, the fire resistance problem is easily solvable by swapping your boots or by getting some better small charms. The skill build is 20 points into Fist of Heavens, 20 points into Holy Bolt, 20 points into Holy Shield. In offensive auras I maxed Holy Shock because it is a fist synergy. I boosted up Conviction to a point where it gives exactly minus 150 resistances. Conviction is the offensive aura to go for on this character, since Concentration aura won't actually boost your Fist of the Heavens damage like it does for Blessed Hammer, for example. Minus 150 enemy resistances is where Conviction caps out, so there's really no point in going higher than that. Minus 150 will mean that the regular invaders in Ancient Tunnels should be at exactly minus 100 res. I think every paladin should have Cleansing and Vigor, so I grabbed those from the defensive auras. After that I also grabbed Redemption, since it was only one extra invested point after already getting Vigor. If you still have some skill points left after this, I recommend you start putting them into Defiance aura to synergize your Holy Shield. For the sample run portion this week, I'm gonna show you guys a couple of Ancient Tunnels runs. The way I usually run the tunnels on this character, I try to take down all the undead boss groups in their entirety, and with the invaders I usually just snipe the boss before moving on. Lightning Enchanted or Champion invaders I usually just skip, since those take a lot of time to bring down on this character. There's an example of Lightning Enchanted Invader right there. You can see how little damage it took from the fist. Definitely not worth the time investment in my opinion. I'm sorry if the footage for this build video turned out to be a little monotonous. I only had footage for Ancient Tunnels and Chaos Sanctuary this time. I had a bunch of footage captured from the Act 2 tombs, and I even did some runs at the Swampy Pits in Act 3. I accidentally managed to delete the folder I had that footage stored in, however, so we ended up with just CS and Ancient Tunnels footage this time. Next week I'll try to do a little better. Even though the Blade Bearers are immune to magic, they still take damage from the Holy Bolts, even though it is listed as magic damage. That's an interesting design choice right there. That about does it for this week's build. Thanks for watching guys, I will see you again next week.